Good morning. So, thank you. So who here got better yesterday? Like, did something to improve themselves or improve a product? Show of hands. Right? There's probably a lot more of you just don't want to put your hands up. But we're all in this, right? We're all trying to get better. Getting better every day is what we at Business Insider, now Insider Inc., try to do all the time. It's part of our mantra, it's part of our mission, it's in our conversations, it's in our one-on-ones, it's written on the walls, right? Something we strive for all the time. This conference, right, is part of that. It's sharing ideas, it's getting together to improve ourselves and to take those ideas back to our teams to improve them, right? I'd like to say thank you to Daniela and her team for putting on this fantastic event. I think a round of applause there. Thank you, Matthias, for the introduction, and thank you, Axel Springer, for investing in something like this. You know, it's really great. So when I joined Insider about a year and a half ago, I was brought in to be part of a transformation. We had, part of our job is really to make sure that we get our news in front of our people, in front of our readers, as quickly and as efficiently as possible. We need to provide the tools that these folks are coming in to look at every time. Insider at the time had gone from being a startup, medium-sized company, and was sort of becoming an enterprise, right? And when you become an enterprise, you need the tools that can scale with it. So there were three things, really, that we needed to focus on, and I'll share those with you today. The first one really was, how do we make a better product? So what is our product? Our product is the story, right? It's an article about Trump. There's a lot of those these days. There's a video about travel days where our reporters go to unknown locations and have amazing experiences. It's a slideshow about what Kim Kardashian wore last week. All of these things, right, are part of what our product is. And as a product and tech organization, we have to make sure it gets there. So over the last 2 years, we've grown quite a lot, right? These numbers are pretty great. We've added 100 million visits over the past couple of years. So this is a lot of scale. When you think about it, fractions count, right? If we could make a 1% change that improves performance or puts more ads in front of users, that could drive millions of dollars. And as a business, we're a business of speed. The first person to get their page in front of a reader is the first person who's going to get the lion's share of the SEO, right? Google's going to crawl us more. That's the article that's going to get credited by all the other folks breaking the same news. So speed is really, really important. And at Insider, that's a priority for us. We have a dedicated principal engineer, and his sole job is performance. We have it up on the TVs behind us. We have metrics and budgets being monitored all the time. And when they go red, that means wrong. People ask questions. And they want to know, why is that thing red? And you're like, oh, let's go look. But performance isn't just page performance. It's also, how do we perform as a team? How do we be more productive? How do we reduce developer friction? Those annoyances that make it hard to merge code or, the steps towards the deployment. How do we reduce that? So when I started a year and a half ago, we had a front-end platform, two front-end platforms, right? One was supposed to replace the other one. And so obviously that's a little bit annoying and can add some complexities. Performance-wise, it wasn't great either. This is what it looked like. 300 millisecond time to first byte, usually more. And that's a big indicator to Google that our site's not as performant as it could be. 260,000 lines of code. That's a lot of code, right? When you have to sift through all that, it can be really difficult to understand. And mistakes happen, right? Even though engineers are perfect, right? And it took 24 minutes to release. And so when that unlikely event happens, that something goes wrong and we break something, which we never do, it would take over an hour to get it back to where it was, right? And while this thing was being built, we weren't releasing features. We were saying those things are going to come at the end, and it'll be great and wonderful. Unfortunately, it took 2 years to build. So when something takes that long to build, it's never going to live up to expectations, right? So we needed to replace it. And over the last year, we just did. We've replaced that with a new front-end platform. And this is what that looks like. We're now at sub-100 millisecond response times for time to first byte. Google loves that. We started to see it in our organic growth, in our search traffic. And October, we had a bumper month, best month on record. A lot of that is due to our incredible editorial team who write fantastic stories, but a big part of that is the product as well. 70,000 lines of code means that we can onboard developers faster. It's much easier for them to understand, and thus, even though they're perfect, they make less mistakes. And it's 58 seconds to release. So when, again, that eventuality happens and something goes wrong, it only takes us a couple of minutes to get back to that state, which is great. And it took us 3 months to build. We made it simple. We kept it simple, and we kept it hyper-focused on the task that it needed to fulfill, which was to deliver pages really, really quickly. And has put us in a really good position for the next few years, that we can iterate and innovate really rapidly on top of this. So none of this stuff matters if we don't have a great team. As Matthias said, great people and great teams make great products. When we think about the teams that we need, we always think about those amazing developers and how the hell do we find them. We work in one of the most competitive marketplaces in the world. We're competing against Google and Amazon for a finite pool of talent. Our competitive set in media have armies of engineers. So we're always looking for new talent. And so we had to rethink our hiring strategy. We did all the nuts and bolts. We put out the right job descriptions, made sure the postings were there, made sure they were exciting, had the obligatory Star Wars references in them as well. And, the difference was when it came to filtering out those applicants. We approached every single resume with an open mind. What does that mean, right? An open mind. Everyone thinks they're open-minded. Well, we weren't necessarily looking for a specific set of skills. We're not looking for somebody who checked all the boxes. What we're looking for is someone who is bright, enthusiastic, had a lot of potential, a lot of upside, a little something special. And the results have been phenomenal. So in 2018, we hired 4 engineers. In 2019, we hired 22 across products and tech. So when you have a team, so once you have these people in the door, that's just half the battle, right? We've got to make sure we retain them. So we had our stalwarts who had been there through it all. We had a bunch of new engineers who were great. We had to make sure that we retained them. And the only way to retain great engineers is to give back, right? Is to empower them and to give them autonomy and ownership. And that's what we've done. We've invested back. We've been listening to their ideas and trying to incorporate them in everything that we do. We've invested in training, no training and go training, and so on. We have Hack Week. We put that in place. It's a week dedicated to innovation. where we block out an entire week and our engineers get to work on whatever they want to work on. A lot of the innovation that drives the next 6 to 8 months worth of work stems from ideas like that. Most of all, we needed to provide ways to listen and to understand, hear what was going on in the team. So we provided multiple avenues of communication where engineers could go and talk about their problems, raise issues, and provide feedback without repercussion in a safe and constructive way. And sometimes it's just going apple picking in upstate New York, right? This is the team about a month ago. Picked a lot of apples. It was great fun. Threw a few. But sometimes it's just those things. So in order to get better, everyone has to invest in some way. And one of the things that's the cornerstone of that and a foundation is this simple word: trust. Trust is, in a lot of conversations in media these days, it's relentlessly under assault, whether it's fake news or troll farms or simply the misinformed. This all makes our jobs harder. But really, I think this is an opportunity for us, right? The organizations and the media companies that retain the trust with their readers and retain trust with their employees are going to be the ones that succeed. And they're going to make it through these times and are going to be setting us up for the next 100 years in media. That's a pretty big foundation. As engineers and product folks, we think of trust in 3 ways, and this is how we use it. It's trusting that you're giving your best and that the engineer next to you is doing the same. It's trusting that every individual is striving to make this place better and striving to make the next place better, and that they have the best interests at heart. And the third thing is to build trust with our stakeholders through great products and flawless execution. So in order to improve every day, the team has to improve. And in order to do that, every individual within those teams has to figure out ways to improve too. So these are a couple of things that I've done. This little guy up here, that's me a long time ago. I was a lot shorter, less hair. But this little guy growing up in South Africa would never have dreamt that he would be standing here on this stage today talking to all you wonderful people working for an exciting media company in New York City. Never would have thought of it. It took thousands of little incremental improvements over those years to get to here today. So there's really three of those that I would like to share with you that are important to me. So the first one is listening. Listening is actually a very difficult skill to develop. I find it very hard to listen sometimes. Active listening is something you always have to strive for. I was lucky enough to work for a man who is a senior executive at a Fortune 500 company and a mentor to me. Whoa, drop the bass. We would have these meetings and he would be, we'd be in a group and we'd be discussing issues and talking about things. And he could jump in at any one time. He had a wealth of experience. He was also German, by the way. Yeah, he's got that going for him. And he could have jumped in and taken over at any time. But he didn't. He chose to listen. And when it came time to make a decision and to weigh in or ask a question, he would pause, take it all in, and then respond. And that response was always on point because he was listening. The second thing is hustle, right? It's getting up in the morning and just getting going, right? And getting your energy up and bringing that enthusiasm every day. It can be hard to do, especially if you haven't had coffee. It's that relentless quest to solve a problem, right? And to see the task through. I always try to just keep doing what I'm doing if I think it's right until somebody tells me to stop. And I haven't hit that yet, thank God, but I'm sure it's coming. And the third thing is gratitude. I try to get up every morning and just be thankful. Find something to be thankful for. Whether it's my family, could be a beautiful day outside, or it could be South Africa winning the World Cup. That was awesome, by the way. And those are the three things that I've been working on. So in the end, we all work in a very, very demanding industry. And it's moving at high pace all the time. Who knows what tomorrow holds when it comes to the news, right? And it's changing all the time too, because we as humans are changing. We're evolving and changing the way we interact with everything. And the only way to keep up with that, we have no choice, is to adapt and to be flexible and to find new ways to do what we do. And really the only way to adapt, the way to get better, is to get better every day. Thank you. Dankeschön.